What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. When it comes to improving your play, it's no secret that limiting your mistakes is a huge step towards winning more games. And one of the best ways to do that is to avoid unnecessary deaths. Let's get started. Now, first off, we have to understand the difference between unnecessary and necessary deaths. First off, there are going to be a lot more unnecessary deaths than you might first think. When I say unnecessary deaths, what I mean is a death that is avoidable. And at the end of the day, almost all of your deaths, easily over 90%, are going to be your fault and avoidable. And even if they're not your fault, they were still probably avoidable anyways. Even deaths that have a positive trade-off, such as dying in a 2-for-1 exchange, are often avoidable if you just dodge an extra skill shot or something like that. The only deaths that are really unavoidable, and even then arguably so, come from trade-offs where your death was absolutely necessary in order to end up on the better side of the trade-off, such as if you bait in allies for a major fight or die to get a major objective. Anyways, there are quite a few tactics you can use to avoid a majority of these unnecessary deaths. The first one is probably the most commonly talked about, and it's to respect the fog of war. What I mean by that is to avoid face checking and to of course buy wards. Avoid unsafe areas, and think of every bush and corner as a potential danger site, and consider whether or not it is safe, as people really do get creative with their ganks. Use your wards at key points to track the opponent's movements and predict where they are. Just make sure to judge the body language and playstyle of enemies as well, as they can often give off tells that a gank is coming. In theory, if this is done perfectly, you can avoid all ganks onto you. In addition, during the laning phase, and this is something quite a few people don't do and don't really think about, is that you need to play differently and change your playstyle based on your escapes that you have off cooldown. Meaning that when your flash, ghost, or heal, or any other escape abilities you might have are down, you do need to change your playstyle to play a lot safer, as you are extremely vulnerable to ganks, as well as to aggression, since any crowd control will stop you flat, and you will have a lot less outplay potential, especially if your opponent in turn has those abilities up. Playing defensive when your flash is down is really important and will allow you to avoid quite a few deaths from ganks, as well as aggressive fights in lane that go poorly. Now, that's not to say that aggression in lane is impossible without those abilities, just that it's 1,000 times more risky since you have no way to escape, and you should only fight in this way if you are sure you won't get ganked and already have an advantage on your opponents. And lastly, when it comes to teamfights, there are also a few things you can do. First off, having good positioning will minimize your damage taken, while helping to maximize what you can contribute to a fight. If you are a glass cannon carry, stay in the back and let your teammates protect you. If you're a tanky or champion, stay in front of your carries to protect them, while still kiting and juking to try to avoid any AoE damage or skill shots. It's important to understand how tanky you are. Knowing how tanky you are will allow you to exit fights at the right time. It doesn't matter how chaotic a fight is, but there will always be a time for you to exit the fight. And in these kinds of team fights, being able to leave the fight with just a tiny sliver of health is amazing, as it means you contributed to your full ability, but yet you still lived and walked out. That is the big thing to avoiding deaths in team fights. It all comes down to leaving the fight at the right time, which is basically just before you die. And you can also go back in with your crowd control or ranged abilities if the fight hasn't ended after you left anyways. And that just about wraps it up. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on how to avoid unnecessary deaths. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. Drop a like and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.